But first, Charlotte, let's get to what's in the news. And a couple of days ago, the NBA GM survey came out. They do this every year. John Schumann over at NBA.com, he talks to all the GMs. They fill out a survey, they answer a bunch of questions. Like, some of them are generic kind of, who's going to win the title? Who's going to win the East? Who's going to win the West? Who's going to win MVP? Then other ones are a little bit more nuanced, like who's going to have a breakout year? Who would you start a franchise with? Who's the best person at each position and all that, right?
Yes. Do you think that GMs really fill this out with a lot of thought?
So I've talked about this before with regard to all-star voting, right?
Yeah.
Like the starters, the media players, and fans pick starters, but the backups are picked by the coaches, right?
Yes.
And for that purpose, I've seen it happen. I've seen when the email comes in, says, hey, don't forget to get your all-star reserves in. I know for a fact that the number of coaches who are literally sitting down, he's had a good year. They're not doing that.
Right.
Because a coach's life is, remember, this is in the middle of January, it's the middle of the season.
It's hectic.
They actually have real life pressing matters, right?
Right.
The GM survey, I think, is a little different because the nature of a GM's job is very big picture, long term, right? And so, yes, there are things that are pressing on a day-to-day, like needs to be done by today.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of their stuff is kind of like pitch it forward, but especially this time of year.
Right. I was going to say before the season starts, they have time to actually sit with it maybe a little bit more.
Having said that, every year we get answers that indicate either some of these respondents are not taking it seriously in the sense of, I don't have time, just name some stuff, or they're not taking it seriously in the sense of, like, I'm about to F all of this up just for shits and giggles.
Right. And I think we have evidence of some of that in this year's GM survey, in which they were asked which players most likely to have a breakout season in 2023, 2024. And I mean, do you know who was the top choice at 23%?
Wow. Maybe a rookie like Victor Wembanyama?
You might think. Mightn't you? But no, it is Anthony Edwards, Team USA's own NBA All-Star.
Right.
So I guess that leads me to be like, what is a breakout season? Is it when you can be like, that is the guy, the new face of the league? Because that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah, and at the same time, it can't be, I think he's going to be really good this year because he's already been an all-star and the best player on Team USA.
That's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, like you can't break outer than that other than winning MVP.
Yeah, you can't break outer than that.
Like the example of that, a breakout guy who broke out again or whatever, I would think about Steph Curry, like his second MVP year.
Right.
Like you say, how much better could he be? And then it's like, no, like he actually had another level of greatness that none of us knew. So I guess you call that a breakout year, but again, he was the reigning MVP.
That should not be the criteria that we're going by for breakout year.
So another example. So some of this is the question is purposely vague. Shout out to John Schumann.
Yeah.
He's not leading anyone. It's like, you tell me. And so enough guys are like, I can't think of any. Well, Anthony Edwards is young, and that's it, right?
Right.
Another example of the question being vague. Charlotte, who's the best point guard in the NBA according to GMs?
Stephen Curry. Golden State, 63%.
Who's the best shooting guard in the NBA?
Number one is Devin Booker.
Who's number two?
Stephen Curry.
Okay, so there you go. So there's a bunch of guys who voted Steph Curry's the best point guard. And then there's some guys who said, Steph Curry's not a point guard, he's a two guard. And then that's where their vote went, right? Unless there were people who voted for him as best point guard and best two guard. And we see this happen again with small forward and power forward, where Kevin Durant is second in both of those categories.
Which also, I mean, I feel like this speaks to some of the nature of the positionless basketball. But I feel like it's sort of funny when you have questions that should have, or that seem like they would have more defined answers or criteria, and then even GMs are like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it highlights like how hard some of this stuff is, at the very least, or maybe they're just lazy, right?
Yeah, right.
But all of these pale in comparison to the answer to a question. Look, every year we get one of these, and that's why I say some of these are trolling. So I want to say 2-3 years ago, there was a GM who literally, at any opportunity he could, about new acquisitions, underrated acquisitions, one of the questions he used to ask was like, what's a loss that's going to hurt a team the most?
Yeah.
And this dude answered Tomasz Satoransky for all of that stuff.
Stop it.
And I'm like, how is this guy getting votes for the most underrated acquisition, the best acquisition, the biggest loss? Like, Tomasz Satoransky, who, by the way, Google him.
Yeah.
He's not in the league anymore. In that vein, Charlotte, one of the questions was, if you were starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA.
Anybody.
Any player in the NBA, who would it be? Number one on the list was Nikola Jokic. Makes a whole lot of sense.
Yep.
These surveys are very often influenced by recent events.
I was going to say, little recency
bias is strong. He says, Jokic did this. Okay. Number two, surprisingly, though not shockingly, is Victor Wembanyama at 23%.
Yeah,
because
young, most promising rookie in 20 years. That was also a thing they voted on here.
And like one of the things also is the idea that if I'm starting a franchise, I want a player who gives me the biggest longevity. Right. So you don't say LeBron because he's in his year 21 or 22. You want, or 21, year 21. You want someone who's going to, quote unquote, be around. So it's like, I get. Number 3 is Giannis. Okay. Number 4 is Luka Doncic. Again, young, exciting, all-round player, whatever. Number 5 is Anthony Edwards. And that's above Steph Curry, above Joel Embiid, above Jason Tatum. Now,
I was about to say, do you think that's an age thing? And then you got to Jason Tatum.
Yeah, so I said it in terms of above those 3 players. But this question is an open-ended question for which people give an answer. So for Anthony Edwards to get 7% of the vote, 7% of 30 votes, we're assuming every GM participated, right?
Yeah.
So that's about 2 GMs there, right? Said Anthony Edwards. That was their answer.
Would that be...
So the 2 GMs went and said, hey, do you want Giannis or Anthony Edwards? Oh, give me Anthony Edwards. Hey, do you want Nikola Jokic or Anthony Edwards? No. Give me Anthony Edwards. Really? Like, I love the dude. I think he's fun. I think he's funny. I think he's exciting. I think he plays hard. He's shown himself to be a playoff competitor. Ain't no freaking way in the world you give me the chance to pick any player.
Well, it flies in the face of, like, who is the greatest player or who will win next year's MVP. And it's Jokic, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Luka Doncic. So it's like, why wouldn't you want to start a franchise with any one of them?
2 of y'all are lying, basically. It doesn't make sense. Like, are you being a hipster? Everyone probably said Giannis or Jokic. But, like, do I want a hipster running my team?
No.
I don't want you to show me how cool you are.
I'd like a shrewd businessman running my team.
Like, there's no shame in, like, the obvious answer.
Right.
They made a whole razor about it.
Can I just tell you before we move on to a slightly more sneakery subject? You probably knew this was coming, but my favorite answer to one of these questions was, what was the most underrated player acquisition? At number 1, my boy, Marcus Smart, Memphis, 17%. And I like that because it's underrated. They're like, who didn't get enough respect this offseason?
Everyone's going to say Damian Lillard.
Yeah, let me tell you. Marcus Smart does not get enough respect.
Another one of your guys is on that list. I think Grant Williams is in the top 5. Yeah.
My 2 guys.
Look, I think both of those guys are going to be huge helps to Memphis and Dallas. So, GM survey, a lot of fun.